AFTERSUN es tal vez una de las películas más desgarradoras que vimos en los últimos años y conversé con su diseñadora de producción, Billur Turan, sobre cuáles fueron las inspiraciones detrás de ese mundo que interpretaron y que protagonizaron Paul Mescal y Frankie Corio. Mira.
We now return to Mira Akian and Contre with our latest interview.
I'm sure it must have been quite difficult for her on some levels, but maybe also healing on other levels.
Why don't you go over and introduce yourself?
Dad, they're like kids.
This is mainly about like a father-daughter relationship and how she remembers and tries to understand her dad and their relationship better. But I guess it was quite honest, but always on a conceptual level, maybe.
I want to start with this very famous picture of Charlotte and her father. Was this a real picture that you used as like a reference, or was this like released after the movie was like, because
No,
your movie shared this picture?
Yes, well, no, actually, it is like one of the photos that we looked at during prep, actually together with Charlie and Greg, because they're like real photos from her holiday with her family. But also we looked at like my holiday photos from the 90s, because I'm also the right age and I spent some summers in Fethiye, and also Greg's family photos from Spain during that time. So it wasn't like the only photo. We looked at these to get a sense of colors and patterns, and also the mood of like what we were trying to create. We looked at our own like physical holiday photos, but also a lot of research on the internet. Actually, as the art department team, we watched old films, old Turkish films, maybe like bad advertisements. We looked at like Flickr albums, like tourists, coming here for holiday in the 90s, and like basically hunting for clues about anything from hotel room layouts, furniture, beer glasses, because they change every 3-4 years. The logo changes, like the graphics, fonts, vehicles, umbrellas, fabric patterns, towel patterns, even like the small cocktail umbrellas. All these small details, they had to be sort of authentic. So we looked for all these, and then once we knew like what we wanted, then it was time to actually find them. So we looked at prop houses, antique shops, bazaars, and we made some of the things ourselves. And sometimes you just have to sort of trust your eye, like even if it's not really maybe from that period, it could work because it has the right color or texture.
Did that camera work? I'm assuming that it worked.
Yes.
So how was like looking for that? Like I don't know if this was part of your work in particular, but I think it's a huge part of this setting of the movie.
Yes, it's all real. And we had to, of course, we had to have 2 of these cameras, and one came from the UK and the other one actually came from Germany. And that was one of the first things I did, actually. I mean, not on my own, but with the help from also UK production. That day we had to source these, and they came. And Frankie, actually, like the actress, she was also shooting clips with this, like in her free time, I guess. So yes, it's all really recorded, and we had to, of course, then test it, like if it worked. And then we also tested footage, because we at some point in the hotel you see the footage she's shooting, and then you see it on television, and then that's also on camera. So all of that we had to test. And all technology, it's always a struggle. You have to have the right cable and the right frequency. But yes, it worked, and I think it's definitely worth it, like having that, because of course nowadays sometimes people want to do everything in post. And they're like, oh, don't worry, we can. And of course you can most of the time, but I really believe like analog is, it's different and you can feel it. And then the fact that we shot AFTERSUN on film, for example, I'm sure It could have been easier to do it just digitally, but I think it really adds to it.
You mentioned Frankie shooting some things with the mini
Yeah.
DV camera. Did any of that like made it into the final cut of the film?
Yeah,
Like,
I think so. Yes.
oh yeah. Did she get paid for that?
That I don't know.
Think you'll ever move back to Scotland?
No.
Why?
There's this feeling once you leave where you're from that you don't totally belong there again.
In the gaming area, like where the motorcycles and the pool table are, we actually built in the background a replica of the rock graves. The ancient city they actually visit later in the film. We built a replica of that, and as it was a metaphor in a way about like how claustrophobic these package holidays can be, because sometimes people they just come and they don't even leave the hotel. So building a replica of something that's actually only maybe an hour away inside the hotel was, like a little inside joke. The real hotel room we used, it was redecorated maybe like 2 years ago, so it looked, very typically from this time. So we had to take everything out, like all the furniture. We built a fake wall. Even in the bathroom, we had to put the bathtub, for example. So there was like a whole technical plumbing done, and even the walls, like we built a box inside the bathroom and we put everything in, so basically treating the location like a studio. And it was very tiny, like for camera and people to move inside. So yeah, it was technically quite challenging.
Do you know why she chose that country for your country for the film?
I think it's partly because that's actually where they came for a holiday, so I guess it's
I told you, I love to dance.
Dad!
Which is embarrassing.
Actually, I think that scene, well, like you say, it owes a lot to the soundtrack, of course, but also to editing, because it's something that came together in the edit, I think, and it's really well edited. But from art department perspective, so like where they're actually dancing, like during the holiday, it's it's the let's say the pool area of the hotel, the small hotel they're staying at. And then the other rave scene, which we called it, that was shot in a, like we built the whole airport corridor. That wasn't a real location, so that we built it inside actually like a huge vegetable storehouse, I would say. It wasn't even a real studio, but so yeah, we built the corridor, and at the end of it, we had these swinging doors, and then it opens up to this blank space, which was again covered it with like black curtains, so blackout space, and that becomes the rave. And actually, I think they had to shoot later some parts of that in London too, as well, because I don't know what happened exactly, but there was a small technical problem because of the flashing lights. But anyway, so I think that it owes a lot to, like, from my perspective, like it was a challenge to, of course, to build this huge set in this location, which was really hot and difficult to work in. But I think it's mainly an edit wonder, let's say, like that, the emotion that comes across, it's due to the really well edited.
It looks like a hospital, like if it's a hospital ward, for instance. Like, where did you pick like the references to build this part? Is there any other meaning to that? Because this is coming to me right now. Like, I can think of a hospital, and if he had like mental issues, maybe it has to do with something like that. But like, what did you like pick to define this?
Well, actually, we did look at like old footage from Heathrow, like from the 90s. So some of the like fonts, but also we wanted to keep it quite, I think, empty as well, because it's sort of a transition between the real lived events or the real environment and the mental space, I could call it. So it's sort of this transitory moment. So I think it works quite well that it's not too well populated, or maybe there are not too many things on the walls.
Wish we could have stayed for longer.
Me too.
Why do you think we connected so much with this film?
Well, I think it's like I would say the main reason is it's, as she said, it's like a emotionally autobiographical film. So she knows the story and emotions inside out, and because of that, I think it's such a honest film. It tells a very sincere story.
Yeah.
And I think people feel that when they watch it. And I think the second reason would be it's about memory itself, like the film itself, and it's structured that way. And it's really, I think, masterfully edited, that as an audience, you can't help but like you fill in the gaps, and you sort of start to go to your own memories, and you think of your own holidays. And I think that's why everyone really connected to it, because it allows this space for you to involve yourself and your memory inside their story, and it becomes your story in some way.